All right, when I saw the theme for this one, it was difficult for me because I was trying to figure out which of my two good ideas that I should use. One happened when I was about 8 years old, and the other one happened around my 20s. So my third good idea was I'll just tell you both. The first one was, I remember being 8 years old and thinking, what do I want to be when I grow up? And the answer was a millionaire. So I thought, well, how am I going to be a millionaire? And then I thought, why don't I open a store where everything costs $1 million? And I could still see the store. Like, I was like behind a register, and there was like a glass counter, and there were like anything that I could picture being in my grandparents' house was in the displays. Because I remember thinking when I was younger, like, I've never been in a store where there was nobody in the store, so there's going to be people in, and even if it takes years, if I sell one damn thing, if I could sell one thing, I've reached my goal. That was my idea that didn't come to fruition. Here's the one that did. This was in my 20s. I had this, well, I still have these friends, Todd and Heather, and we sort of thought that we were like pretty unique, like just because we were kind of weird and people really didn't get our sense of humor. So we sort of kept to ourselves, not to inflict it upon anybody else. Heather went off to college in Pittsburgh, and she became friends with this girl, Emily. And she called us, and she would say, this girl, Emily, she's kind of neat, and she's interesting, and you guys are going to love her, and blah, blah, blah. And then she was saying the same thing to Emily about us. It took so long for us to meet that I talked to Emily on the phone, and we both admitted that we're kind of intimidated to meet each other because the buildup was so great. So I'm thinking, what will be a cool way to meet Emily so that it won't be like forgettable? And so it was like, well, maybe we will like just drive to Pittsburgh and surprise them, because like in your 20s you have the thing like spare time. So one day I'm sitting on the couch, and there was a talk show commercial, or a commercial for a talk show, and it was Carney Wilson. She used to have a talk show, for those of you that watch late night shows. And it said, do you have a secret crush on somebody that you'd like to reveal on our show? Yeah. I'm thinking, that's how I'm going to meet Emily. So I called and I said, listen, I have a huge crush on this girl, Emily, and my friend Todd has this crush on this girl named Heather, and they're roommates in Pittsburgh, and I'm just in love with her, and I ask my lucky 8-ball every day, does she love me? And I went through this whole story, and they're like, oh, we got to get you on. So they bring us out to New York, and we decided we're not going to meet before this at all. So Todd and I are in one hotel, Emily and Heather in another hotel, and we get to the show, and backstage they said, okay, well, before you go on, you have to prove that you really love these girls. So what are you going to do? How about you're going to dress up as grandmoms and you're going to dance? And we're thinking, well, that doesn't say love. So we get dressed up as grandmoms. We come out and we do like this whole dance thing. And they ask me, I'm like, oh, I ask my lucky 8-ball every day, and it's like 120 yeses, 30 nos, 4 ask me later, whatever. And so we do this whole thing, and they say, well, let's bring out Heather and Emily. So Heather and Emily come out. So Emily's first sight of us is a white wig, a muumuu, is that what they call it? Muumuu, stockings, and an 8-ball. So they bring the two of them down, and we gave Emily a big hug. And if you turn up the TV loudly enough because of the body mics, you could hear me say, nice to meet you. And that's how we met Emily. Thank you.